Bonjour, welcome to Wahsa Distance Education Center's radio Zoom classes. This is MEL3E, grade 11 workplace math, and I am the teacher, Bronwyn Slate. If you'd like to participate live today, you can call the Wahsa studio at 1-800-465-7144 or 737-4017. You can listen on the radio at 91.9 FM and also on the television at Bell Express View Channel 972. You are always welcome to join me live through the Zoom link, which is available both for me, your teacher, and also your DEC. Our classes are scheduled from Monday through Thursday, 9 until 10 in the morning, and we are in our second week of our 9-week course. A reminder of what work to submit for marking. The support questions, the ones with the pencil icon, are not for marking. They are practice problems, so you decide which ones and how many to do. If you're understanding a concept, it's completely fine to skip questions. You know yourself best. If you need more practice, though, please ask, and I'm happy to send you more practice. The key questions, the ones with the little key icon, are the marked questions. So please do all of these questions, handing them in and showing all of your work, your steps, and your thinking. This way I know what it is that you know, and if you're struggling with something, I have more information in order to figure out how to help you. So how do you submit your work for marking? Well, there's 3 methods. The first is to scan your work and send it electronically. You can scan your work with a device. If you have an Apple device, you can use the Notes app. And if you have an Android device, you can use the Google Drive app. These apps are free and generally come with these devices and are fairly straightforward to scan with. If you need some support to do that, on my YouTube channel, there is some tech tutorial videos. So you can go and check those out, and they walk you through how to use these apps to scan. Then you can send it through either email to studentwork@nnec.on.ca and CC it to bronwyn.slate@nnec.on.ca. Or you can also send it to me through Facebook Messenger, where my name is B. Slate Wahsa. The second method is to drop your work off in Sioux Lookout. We have an outdoor mailbox at 74 Front Street. We are the bright red building next to the post office, and we have a small white mailbox next to our side entrance. So you can just put your work in there at any time. The third method is to hand your work into your DEC. Your DEC can either send your work through the Express or fax it to 807-737-1732 or toll-free fax to 1-800-463-7852. Students are also welcome to fax in their work. Just a good idea to give us a call or send me a message letting us know that it's coming, as sometimes things get lost through the fax machine. If you'd like to connect with me through social media, both my Facebook and YouTube channel are under the name B. Slate Wahsa. So you can friend me on Facebook and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then you'll get notifications every time I upload one of our radio Zoom classes. All of them are recorded and posted shortly after broadcasting. And there's also short videos on my YouTube channel that explain common errors and confusing concepts, which is a good place to start if you're struggling with something. Math is a really visual subject, so I strongly encourage you to access the videos. Just listening to the audio is not going to give you the full experience and is likely to leave gaps in your understanding. So either join me live through the Zoom link, even if you don't want to talk to me, that's fine, or watch the YouTube videos at your own time are great options. If neither of those work for you, let me know, and I'm happy to send you a copy of the recordings so you get the full experience. So if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out and connect with me. My email address is bronwyn.slate, that's spelled BRONWYN.SLATE@nnec.on.ca. Connect with me through Facebook at B. Slate Wahsa. Call me at the office at 807-737-1488, extension 2209, or toll free 1-800-667-3703. My office hours are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., though I'm happy to connect outside of those hours if those times don't work for you, if you're working or life is busy in that time. Just let me know and we can arrange something that works for both of us. Today's lesson is lesson 5, looking at making purchases. So our learning goals are that at the end of this lesson, you'll be able to explain how to make change in the most efficient methods. You'll be able to explain how discounts, sales prices, and after-tax costs work, and you'll understand provincial sales tax, including how and why it is different depending on the location. Our success criteria, so you know that you've met those learning goals because you can determine change received in making a variety of purchases. You can calculate discounts, sales prices, and after-tax costs of various items, and you can calculate provincial sales tax. So when will you use this in real life? Well, we are learning how to make decisions and justify them. So this lesson particularly is very applicable to real life, as money is something that all of us have to deal with at some point, but also being able to make decisions based on the information that you have and justify the reasoning behind the decisions that you're making is really important, and whether it's related to money or just life in general. But first, let's activate our brains with some mental math. I don't believe in mad math minutes. They are stress-inducing and cause anxiety in more folks than not. So instead of that, we focus on developing strategies that use the tools that we have and use friendly numbers that we're comfortable with in order to do arithmetic. Our question today is 48 divided by 7, and we are using the strategy of partial quotients. I really like this one. It looks like long division when you're writing it down, but we aren't thinking about it in the same way of long division. We're thinking about it in terms of logical math grouping. So when we, instead of thinking about this like long division where we say, okay, 7 goes into 4 how many times, 0 times, then 7 goes into 48 how many times, we're going to think, okay, what are friendly groups of 7 that we know are going to be less than 48? So possibly 7 isn't a number that you know a lot of your facts with, but maybe that you know that double 7 is 14. So we're going to say, okay, well, 2 groups of 7 we know is less than 48. So we're going to separate those 2 groups and deal with that. Then we're going to subtract that off of the 48 because we have already dealt with them. We've already separated them into 2 groups. Now that leaves us with 34. Okay, well, we can see that still another 2 groups would fit. So that's fine. We can do another 2 groups. We don't have to do a different amount. We can do the same. So now if I take away 14 from 34, we get 20. Well, again, we can see another 2 groups is less than that. So if we subtract 14 from 20, we get 6. And we can see that we are left over with 6. Do we have any more groups of 7 that we're gonna be able to divide equally? No, we don't. So instead we see that we have 6 groups with a remainder of 6. So 48 divided by 7 is 6 with a remainder of 6. You might be able to see with this question, you could do it differently. You could maybe have seen that, well, 5 groups of 7 is 35. So you might have been able to just do 5 groups right away and then seen that only 1 more group would fit. That would be great. That's fine too. The really nice thing about partial quotients is that there's not one right way to do it. You can use the grouping that makes sense to you, and then that works fine. All right, what prior learning do we need to have? I want to go over quickly what it means to estimate and how that works. So when we are doing purchases like at the grocery store somewhere, we generally don't use exact calculations to decide if something we want to purchase is expensive or affordable. We usually estimate to see roughly what that's going to cost. So this is a really useful tool to use in various situations. It's generally how we do things like this when I'm doing this, at least, and you might do it differently. But like if you have a amount that is $4.99, then I would say that's basically $5 if I'm estimating how much it's going to be. something like 68.74. Well, you could round it to 68.75 because that would be close, and that's a little bit more of a friendly number, but that's not really particularly a friendly number. I probably would round this up to 70 to give myself an estimation of how much this is going to cost. $10.32, you might round down to just $10, and $93.89, you might round down to $93, you might round it up to $94, you might round it up to $95. You really can decide. It doesn't, because we're estimating, it doesn't have to be the closest thing. It doesn't have to be the same thing as someone else. You really are just rounding it to a number that feels friendly to you. Whether or not that is the same as what feels friendly to somebody else, that is fine. Okay, so let's also talk about coin combinations and how we can make the same value of money using different types of coins. So we have a question here that says, draw or write two different combinations of coins and or bills that make up each amount. Use common combinations. For example, for the first question, A, it's 65 cents. So it says not to draw 13 nickels. Yes, you could do 13 nickels. That would be 65 cents. But most of the time, you're probably not going to do that many coins. Now, if you're deciding to draw coins, you do not need to be an amazing artist. You can just do like 25 and a circle around it, or you can just do 25. Like it's all good, whatever makes sense to you. So for 65, I probably would do 25, 25, which is 50, and then 10 cents, and then 5 cents. That would be one way that you could make 65 cents. Another way could be maybe you do want to get rid of a bunch of change. So maybe you're going to do 6 dimes. And a nickel, 5 cents, and that would be 65. Both of these are totally fine. And technically 13 nickels would be fine too, just to give you, trying to think of some groups. I'm going to skip over B and let's do C, which is $7.40. So I would use a $5 bill. And then I would use a toonie. So that's $7. And then for 40 cents, I would use a quarter. And then so that's 25, and then 10 cents a dime. So that's 35, and then 5 cents a nickel. And that's $7.40. Another way you could do this would be to have toonies. So 3 toonies is $6, and 1 loonie is $7. And then maybe you do 4 dimes for 40 cents. You see this time I'm writing in the cents and the dollar signs because they're not all just like, if I put 2, am I talking about $2 or 2 cents? So this up here, I probably should have put my cent signs as well. I just was not thinking. So something to go back into. Okay, so those are different things to think about in terms of estimating and how we use money with coins. Okay, so what are the new concepts we're going to be talking about today? So first, we're going to be looking at making change, and this is on page 43 of your IEL booklet. So if you work in a store, the cash register will calculate how much change you should give customers. However, it will not tell you what bills and coins to use in order to minimize the number of coins given. So again, like with the 65 cents, giving 13 nickels is probably not the most efficient and effective way of giving back 65 cents. So most often you want to give the smallest amount back so people have less change to be carrying around. Also, sometimes there are times when customers give more money than required to reduce the number of coins that they receive in change. And that can be confusing if you're not thinking about that, oh, if this amount of change that you're giving me means that I only have to give you back a $5 bill. Things like that happen. So paying attention is really useful. So one strategy is to count up. So first off, I forgot to mention, remember, we don't have pennies when we're talking about money. In Canada, we don't have pennies. We don't have 1 cent. So we're always going to the nearest 5 cents. So first you would use nickels to count up to the nearest 5 or 10 cents. Then you would use dimes and nickels to count up to the nearest 25 cents, 50 cents, 75 cents, or $1. Then you would use quarters to count up to the next full dollar, and continue with bills if you need to. All of these are depending on what you need. So let's look what that actually means. So if we are buying a pair of jeans for $32.41. So first off, this is what the price is if we were paying for debit, right? $32.41. But if we're paying with it in cash, we're going to be paying $32.40 because we don't have pennies. I know that in the picture we have pennies, but that is just it's an old picture. So in our pocket, we have 2 $20 bills, a toonie, 2 loonies, 3 quarters, a dime, and 2 nickels. So how many coins do we need to give to the cashier to pay for $32.40? Well, we could just pay $40, and that would be over $32.40, and we'd get a whole bunch of coins back. Or we could look to see if we can pay something that means we don't get as many coins back. So I probably would pay, you still need to pay the 2 $20 bills because we don't have a 10 somewhere to be able to get it to 30. And then I probably would pay with the toonie. And then I would pay the 25 cents, 10 cents, and 5 cents. And this all equals $42.40, right? 20, 40 plus 2, 42, then 25 plus 5 is 30, plus 10 is 40 cents. So this way I've paid more than I needed to, which I paid what I needed, but I'm only going to get a $10 bill back. And so I don't end up with a whole bunch of more change, which personally, I don't like carrying around change. Okay, so the second example, we have a PS3 game for $64.73. Again, $64.73 with cash is going to round up to $64.75. So here I can pay, so if I have 3 20s, a 10, a 5, 2 toonies, 2 loonies, and 2 quarters. So here I'm going to pay, okay, well, I have 3 20s, so that is $60. So I'm going to use those 3 20s. And then I have 2 toonies, which is going to be another $4. And then I only have 2 quarters, so I can't make 75 cents. So then I'm going to pay with 1 loonie because this all adds up to 20, 40, 60, 62, 64, 65, $65. And so that means that I'm going to get back 25 cents in change. And so I don't get a whole bunch. I give a whole bunch of different denominations, and I only get back a small amount. That's how I like to do it. You could have also used just the bills. You could have used 65 with 3 20s and a 5. That would have been fine too. Again, these are the sorts of things where there isn't only one way to do it, but multiple ways to do it that make the most sense depending on what you want and what works best for you. Some situations I am stressed out and just want to do it quickly. And so I might just do the $40 because that is just quickly. I don't need to pick through my change. say my kid's screaming or something and I just need to pay and go. If I have more time, I might pick through the change and find out as close as I can, or something that makes me happy with the change I'm going to receive. And that's going to be different depending on different people. So then example 2, some employees make hundreds of cash transactions every shift. You might have a lot of people coming through, and it's really easy to make errors. So this is another reason why it's important to be, even if you're not working as a cashier, to be comfortable with the change so that you know what you should be expecting and you don't get ripped off. So let's look at a couple of these examples. So this is saying this first column is the amount owed to the customer, so the change that needs to be given. No, sorry, the amount owed by the customer. So this is how much the purchase price is. So this is the price that you're paying. Then you give, this is how much money you give. This is the change that you get back. And then let's see what the error is. So for A, we have $4.14. So remember, for this would be $4.15 for using cash. We pay with a $10 bill. So, and we get back $5.75. There's 3 quarters here. So for what I would like to do, my brain, what makes sense is to figure out how much I should have gotten to then to figure out what was wrong. So how I like to count up on doing change, we talked about before. So I'm starting with $4.15 and I'm trying to get up to $10. So I'm going to add 5 cents to get to 20 cents. And actually, I changed my mind. I'm not going to do that. I would add 10 cents to get to for 25. And then I would add, and not dollars, but cents. Sorry. This is why your symbols make really difference. Okay, so 10 cents. And then I would have 20, so that would be $4.25. So then if I add another 25 cents, that's $4.50. For 75, $5. And so then I need a $5 bill to go again. So that is the correct change that we need, which is a total of $5.85. But we got only $5.75. So we have too little. Guys, it's only 10 cents, but it can add up over time. Okay, so then let's look at numbers or letter C. So we pay $6.50. We give $10 to the cashier. We get back $10, a toonie, a loonie, and 2 quarters. So we get back $13.50. Well, we can see right away that we're given too much because we paid $10 and we got $10 back. So they just gave us back the wrong bill they gave us back. So if we think about it, so $6.50, so 50 cents is going to give us to $7 plus 3. So really we needed to get $3.50 back. And they just gave us back the $10 bill as well as the change. So that isn't great. And that's another way to pay attention. Okay, so now you can do the support questions on page 43 to 44, questions 1 through 3. So the next thing to think about is getting back fewer coins. And this is on page 44 of your IL booklet. So when you're paying with cash, you generally want to pay with as many coins from your pocket and receive the least number of coins in return. Most of us don't want to be carrying around heavy pockets with lots and lots of coins. So For example, if the bill is $11.29, this becomes $11.30, then we consider the following. So if we are able to pay with the exact amount, $11.30, then we don't get any change. If we pay with $11.35 or $11.50, then we would get small coins and change. If we paid with $12.30, $15.30, or $20.30, we would resent in full dollars that we'd get back. If we would pay with $12.35, $12.50, $15.35, $15.50, $20.35, $20.50, they would result in full dollars and small coin change. So it really depends on what coins and bills you have and your time and what you're comfortable whether doing, but being able to give the most coins so they don't have to carry on a lot and getting the least coins back is often what many folks are striving for. So here, if we look at this example, once again, no pennies. So if we are paying for dinner for two, it's $33.12. So that's going to be $33.10 is what, if we're paying cash. So the coins that were given to the clerk, well, we have two 20s. Again, that is going to be 40. So it's more than 33.10. So we don't necessarily have to do anything else. But if we pay with a toonie, a loonie, now we paid $43, and then we have a dime. So we pay with 10 cents. Then we paid $43.10, which means that we get $10. And so in theory, we should get just a $10 bill. So we should get one bill, which is equal to $10. And so we've given away 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 bills and 3 coins, and we received 1 bill back. So that means that our pockets or purse are lighter in our load. And the same idea if you were to do the same thing with this jersey, $61.45. That's going to not change because it's closest. It is at the nearest 5. So again, we've got 3 20s, so that's $60. And we have a loonie, so that's $61. And then we have 2 quarters. So we have to use them both to get over 45 cents. So that pays, so we get a total of $61.50 is how much we paid. So the change that we need to get back is 5 cents. Sorry, I wrote that backwards. 5 cents. So we should get 1 coin back. So we paid 3 bills and 3 coins, and we got 1 coin back. Again, lighter load for us. So now you can do the support question on page 44, number 4. We're going to look at sales tax in provinces and territories now. And this is on page 45 of your IEL booklet. So in Canada, we use sales tax. And there are 2 types that we use. We have provincial sales tax, which is PST, which is levied by the provinces, paid to the provinces. And we have goods and services tax, GST, which is applied nationally. So it's a federal tax, whole country. Then we have harmonized sales tax, HST, which combines PST and GST together. So some provinces, instead of having 2 separate taxes, you have a harmonized tax, which everything is combined together. So every province in Canada, except for Alberta, has either a provincial sales tax or a harmonized sales tax, or HST. In the territories of Yukon, Northwest Territories, and Nunavut, there are no territorial sales tax. There's only GST. This is because the northern communities are heavily subsidized by the federal government due to the challenges of prices in the northern community in terms of things being really, really high. So this means that this is the reason why that there isn't a territorial tax. to help with the high cost of living. So the rates that are happening for each of the provinces are as listed, and this is on, I believe, on page 45 or maybe page 46 of your IEL booklet. So this is something worth to be able to note to go back to, or screenshot this if you're looking at the video. So BC, British Columbia, it's 7%. Alberta has no PST. Saskatchewan has 7%. Manitoba has 7%. Sorry. Ontario has 13% because it has HST. So this is Harmonized Sales Tax. So we don't have GST separately. They're combined. Quebec has 7.5%. Newfoundland and Labrador, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick all have 15% HST. So again, it's combined. Prince Edward Island has 10% PST, and then the Yukon, Northwest Territories, and none of them have PST. So let's do a question of what is this significant for? So if you bought a digital camera for $89.97, that's the price of the camera, what would the PST be in BC, in Nunavut, and in PEI? So remember, in BC, you can totally look this up. You don't have to have it memorized, but BC, it's 7%. Nunavut, it's 0%. There's no PST, and PEI, I believe, was 10%. Yes. So to figure this out, in BC, we're going to take our price, $89.97, and we're going to times it by 7%, which, remember, 7% is 0.07. We have to use the decimal when we are multiplying. So we do 89.97 times 0.07. I missed a decimal. So we get $6.30. That is the tax in BC. In Nunavut, well, 0% means that the tax is $0. There's no tax. In PEI, we do 89.97 times 10%, which is 0.10. So that is $8.99. So really it's $9. So the price is going to look, when you pay, is going to look more expensive in PEI than in BC or Nunavut because you are paying more taxes. The price of the actual camera is the same, but the taxes are higher in PEI. So it looks like you're paying more money. So then you can do the support questions on page 46 through 47, the questions 5 to 6. Now we want to look at GST, goods and service taxes, and this is on page 47 of your IEL booklet. So this is 5% for GST, which is federal, which is across the whole nation, and this is effective as of January 1st, 2008. So everywhere in Canada, GST is applied to purchases. Some places it's combined with a harmonized sales tax. But there are some examples of goods and services on which we do not pay GST or HST because it is something that is like for basic living, and therefore we're not taxed on it. So basic groceries like milk, bread, and vegetables, things that are not processed, there's no GST on it or no HST. Any sort of prescription drugs or drug dispensing fees, so medication, don't have those extra taxes. Medical devices such as hearing aids or artificial teeth, or most healthcare, medical, and dental services are not taxed with GST or HST. Residential rents, legal aid services, most banking services, most childcare and education services, these things don't have GST, HST on them. So it's things that are basic necessities, don't have extra tax on them. There's constant debate in terms of, like recently, there's been a lot of conversation about whether menstruation products, period products should have tax on them because they have been taxed. And so it's a basic functional need that people who menstruate need. And then that has changed in terms of no longer being taxed. and having to pay more for a fundamental need that is a tool that many of us use. Right. Another example, in Saskatchewan, you were buying a pair of rollerblades for $152.45. Including tax, what do you actually pay? So the price that is given does not have tax. So if it says not including tax, that means that we have to add the tax on top of it. So I believe Saskatchewan tax, so PST in Saskatchewan is 7% and GST is 5%. So to figure out the taxes, you do $142.45 times 0.07, and then $152.45 times 0.05. You could add these together and then do it all at once, or you can do them separate if you want to see what the separate ones are. So we use our calculator. So the PST would be $10.67. And the GST would be $7.62. So now we need to go back to the question to make sure we actually answered it. So it says, including tax, what do you actually pay? Well, have we wrote what we actually pay? No. So we need to do the total, which is going to be the actual price. So $152.45 plus the tax. So plus $10.67 plus $7.62. So we have to add them all together. So $152.45 plus $10.67 plus $7.62 is equal to $170.74. So we would actually pay $170.74 for the rollerblades. So we can do the support questions on page 48, number 7 now. Then finally, let's look at the Harmonized Sales Tax, HST, which is on page 49. So this is, again, a combination of federal and provincial taxes on goods and services in the 5 Canadian provinces. So it's 15% on all the provinces that have HST, except Ontario, where it's 13%. So the concept behind this is that HST was to streamline the recording and collection of federal and provincial sales taxes by combining them into a single uniform levy across Canada. Similarly, they are just like GST, there's some things that are exempt from HST, things that are the basic necessities of life. So we can calculate harmonized sales tax in 2 different ways. You can calculate all taxes in 2 different ways, depending on if you want to calculate first the tax and then you add it to the original price, or you can do it all at once. So let's look at an example. So here we're doing buying it in Ontario, because we're in Ontario. So our sales tax, our HST is 13%, and we're buying a book for $19.80. So this first method, we can first calculate the tax. So we do $19.80 times 0.13, which is 13%. So do that on our calculator, which is $2.57. And then we can calculate the total, where we add our $19.80 plus our $2.57, which that gives us $22.37. So that is the price, that is the amount of money that you actually pay. The other method that you can do it is where you can do it all at once. So you're just doing the total. And instead of doing just 13%, you could do 113%, which means that you're including the price of the book. So 113%, if we divide that by 100 to convert it, 113 divided by 100 is equal to 1.13. So if you are going to do the step where you're doing it in total, you're going to multiply it by 1.13, which includes the price of the book. So if we do that on our calculator, 1980 times 1.13, we get 2234. See, we get exactly the same thing. 2237, sorry. Get exactly the same thing, even though we did it in two different ways. So whatever works best for you. In some situations that one might work better than the other, that's fine. You do what works best, what makes the most sense for you. All right, so this example, calculate the HST and the total cost of a iPhone 13 with a price of $1,099. So here, this tells us to calculate, we want both the HST and the total cost. So we need to do the two steps because that's what the question's asking us for. I'm trying to understand that you know how to calculate the HST. So we're gonna, when it just says HST, even though it doesn't say that we're Ontario, assume that it's Ontario because we are in Ontario. So it makes the most sense to do what it would be for us. So $1,099 times 13% is equal to $142.87. So then the total is $1,099 plus $142.87. Now, as you can see, when I'm doing this, I give it a little label so that I know what it is that I'm talking about. I find that incredibly useful, particularly so that I know that you know what you're talking about. I don't have to search through to guess. You don't have to do labels, but I find labels can be super useful. So that ends up being $1,241.87. And that is, we have both our HST and our total. So now you can do the support questions on page 50, questions 8 through 9. So that's our taxes. So then the last thing that we're going to look at quickly is discounted items. So when you have a discount, you have to figure out how much you are taking off. So again, there's two different ways you could do this. You can first take off the percentage that you're telling us the discount. So you can find that percentage and then subtract it from the total price. Or you can take the sort of opposite percentage. Like for this example, we have Julie is purchasing a tennis racket during a summer sale. It's advertised at 40% off the regular price of $165.99. So instead of finding what 40% is and subtracting it, you could find out what 60% is because that's what if you take off 40%, you're left with 60%. So let's do both ways to see how they work. So if we are taking off 40%, so 40% is going to be 0.40 as a decimal. So we do $165.99 times 0.40. So do that on our calculator. And we get $66.39. 0.6, that really rounds to 40 cents. So $66.40. So then that means the new price, because that's the discount, right, is going to be $165.99, take away $66.40. So we do that subtraction. We get $99.59. So that is the new price after the discount. If instead we want to do the second method, which is where we just find the new price from the get-go, we don't find the discount. So that means that we do $65.99 times 60%, which is 0.60. So if we do that on our calculator, we see that we get $99.59. So we get the same thing. Again, either way is totally fine. You do whatever works best for you and makes most sense in your brain. So the other trick with this is that when you have both when you have a discount, you still need to calculate tax on it. So the sales tax on discounted items is always added after the discount is removed. So you discount first, then tax. This is on page 50 if you want to look at your aisle booklet. So we look at the total cost of a netbook computer that is 20% off the usual price. So first, we need to figure out the new price. And then we need to figure out the tax or the with total. So again, remember there's multiple ways that you could do this. So you can do, and again, you do what makes the most sense for you. So I'm going to do with the new price, I'm going to do the new prices at 80% because 100% take away 20% is going to be 80%. So 299 times 0.80 is going to give us the new price. Sorry, don't know why that is just my life. I'll go back to my Desmos. Here we go. Okay, so 299 times 0.8 is equal to $239.20. So the new price is $239.20. We want to think, does that make sense? Am I subtracting that off? No, I figured out what the new price is. So the new price is pretty close to the old price, but a little bit less. Perfect, that's good. So then to calculate the total cost with the tax, so I'm going to actually not just calculate the tax, I'm going to do the total. So that means I'm going to do $239.20 times 1.13. Again, because it doesn't specify the tax, we're going to assume that we're in Ontario, which means our tax is 18%. I don't know why my thing has decided to stop working the way I expected it to. Sorry about that. So 239.20 times 1.13. So this has the price plus the tax. So that's 270.30. So the total cost, again, it's good to go back to read the question. So the cost in total, because I wrote that wrong, is 270.30. So yes, I've answered the question. So we're good to go. Which you can now do the support questions on page 52, question number 10. There's a lot of different parts to this lesson. So then the final thing on page 53 is estimating costs. So to do this, instead of calculating things exactly, you're going to estimate things that are close. So when, like we talked about, estimating can be really useful, but you also need to estimate your tax, which could be helpful. So to do this, you round your price to something that is friendly. Then you estimate your discount if you have one. And then you estimate your HST, which if 13% is 10%, which is pretty easy to estimate. You can calculate. And then about a third more is 13% is about a third more of 10%. So for this one, we're just practicing estimating the HST. So we have $29.99 for a t-shirt. So I'm going to round that price to $30. So then the tax is going to be, well, 10% of $30 is $3. And a third more of that, a third of $3 is $1. So the total, the tax is going to be $4. So the total is going to be about $34. And if you go through and calculate that exactly, you're going to get something pretty close to $34. Here, if we have a Lego set at $55, $54, I'm going to estimate that to $55. 54 isn't too brand friendly, but I'm just going to do it 55, which is a little bit friendlier for me. So the tax of 10% of 55 is $5.50. Then a third of $5.50. Well, that's not super friendly, but $5.50 is pretty close to $6, and a third of $6 is $2. So I'm going to say that that's roughly $2, and so $7.50 is my tax. So my total would be 55 plus $7.50, which is going to be $62.50. Again, we're estimating. It's okay if it's not exactly right. It's okay if you estimate it differently. That's fine. All right, so we don't have time to go through this chart, but this is a really good thing to practice if you're looking for some practice to estimate your sales price, and then to go through and calculate it exactly as well, both your sale price and your HST, and then your total cost. It's really good to practice doing both of those so that you can understand how the estimation really generally comes pretty close and is realistic, even if it's not exact. Also, if you have a discount that is a fraction amount, remember, we need to change this into a percentage or into a decimal. And so you do 1 divided by 3, which is 0.33. So it's about 33% off, just to remember. So then you can do the support questions on page 55, questions 11. All right, let's consolidate what we've learned today, as we have done a lot. So for this lesson, it's been making purchases. So first we looked at making change. We did this by counting up, and we looked at the fewest coins possible. So generally we want to use the most coins to pay and receive the least coins in return. Then we looked at discounts, where we take off the discount first and then we add the tax. And we also looked at sales tax, where we looked at provincial sales tax and GST, goods and sales tax, and HST, the harmonized sales tax. So hopefully you can determine change. You can calculate discount, sales prices, and after-tax costs, and you can calculate provincial sales tax. So that is our lesson for today. Again, we have packed in a lot. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Give me a call at the office at 807-737-1488, extension 2209, or toll free 1-800-667-3703. Email me at bronwyn.slate@nnec.on.ca. Connect with me through Facebook at bslate Wahsa. And remember, all of our lessons are up on YouTube at bslate Wahsa as well. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a lovely day. Miigwech.